Do you often feel irritated by the smallest thing? Do you have problems with relationships like friends or just in general? Do you get overly agitated compared to other people? This video could shed some light on something that might have been unresolved as a child. Don't go anywhere. I'm Toyin Okunuga, and I am the author of Hush to Raw. I'm here to discuss the steps in healing from childhood sexual abuse. Hush to Raw is my memoir. It's a story of love, childhood trauma, but most importantly, my recovery. Hush to Raw became the #1 new release bestseller on 18th of October 2020 on Amazon in 4 different categories. I am so dedicated to this topic, and I know that it gets a lot of silence. I'm here to make it raw. So sexual abuse is one of those invisible illnesses, and the reason it's so dear to me is because of my own personal experience. Now, I have obtained various certifications in this area, including childhood adversity, maltreatment of children, young adults and their mental health, as well as introduction to cognitive psychology. As a result of my many years of research into what happens to a child when they get sexually abused, what happens to their brain, what goes on with the biology of that child, how devastating is this growing up? Do we just forget what happened to us as a child when we grow up and we are normal as though nothing happened to us? All these curious questions came to me, and that's why I did a lot of research. I was blown away. I was brought to my knees when I read the things that were so consistent with my behaviour and where I was heading to in terms of physical ailments. And then I thought, you know what? I can't keep this to myself. So I decided to write my book that was always there for me to manifest. And it's as a result of my own personal story, being sexually abused from the age of 12 until I turned 15, that I knew I wanted to do more. So today I'm going to take you through the steps that I took inadvertently. In fact, some of them I didn't even know that that's what I was doing. But when I did my research and read upon a lot of what psychologists have been doing and therapists, I knew that they were consistent with what I did. Apart from getting the practical help from a therapist, I did these because I knew I had it within me. But my advice is, please seek help. Don't take that as gospel from me. That was just what I decided, because I took my power back and I healed thoroughly. So I'll take you through the stages of what I did, and I can tell you now, these are the stages, but in my healing process, they weren't quite in this sort of stage. But the first one for sure that I had to do was to accept that what happened to me did indeed happen to me. So the first one is acceptance. If you're out there and you think, you know what, that was in the past, I am fine. If you have any of those signs that I said, triggers, anger, the slam of a door, and memories, and things that are making you tense, or even you've got some ailments, because I had a lot of physical ailments at a very young age, like I had arthritis that I thought was associated to elderly. I had terrible tinnitus. I had quite a lot. So if you've had ailments that you believe, why are you having them? Unresolved childhood trauma could be there. So the first is acceptance. And acceptance to ground it, like be with yourself. And I had to be with myself and start. It might sound woohoo, but I started to do meditation because of my anxiety. So meditation, it calmed me down. I had OCD. I had so many things that I was in denial of. But when I accepted it, I started to become calm. So acceptance is number one. Number two, recall it. Now this might be very uncomfortable, and that's why I said seek help, seek medical help. But recalling it is best done, I do advise, best done with a therapist or a medical practitioner, because they can help you recall it in a measured way and in a safe environment. I recalled it and there were a lot of tears, but I'm glad I did because I came to terms with it. So the second is recall it. And then the third is sense it. When I recalled what I did recall, I then felt all my feelings and everything that were coming up in me, and I would just calm back down. So sense it. And I named it. So I named all the things, but starting off with little triggers. And I'll say, why am I getting triggered? And if it's what in the moment that I was feeling, I'll talk about that, but then I'll take myself back to what it was in a measured way. And then the most important fifth one is understanding that it was not your fault. That what happened to you as a child was not your fault. For so long, I wouldn't say I blamed myself because I sort of knew that it wasn't my fault for some reason. But then I did sometimes blame myself growing up. And because I had my adult brain then, I was thinking, yeah, why didn't I stop that abuse? But I was going back and forth and blaming myself and not blaming myself. But then when I did my research on the brain, I knew that our amygdala, the limbic system, has a way of dealing with things as a child different to as an adult. I no longer blame myself. So understand that what happened to you was not your fault. In other words, have self-compassion. So that is the fifth one. And number 6 is, and now this one, some people might not be able to do it, but I did. And it's going to that inner child and just thinking, I'm okay. Child, I'm okay. You might think I don't want to be talking to my inner child, but I spoke to my inner child through my research. I wrote a letter to my inner child to say, dear little Toyin, you are fine. You are no longer in danger. You are safe. You might not want to do that, but I tell you it's healing when you write something down. So I will employ you to do that. And then number 7 is trust yourself. Trust yourself that everything that you're doing, you have within you to do it. Just trust your intuition. Trust everything that you know that you are doing to heal alongside the medical practitioner or therapist. Oh, number 8, feel the anger. Now, I was so angry. I wanted revenge. I wanted everything. And I felt that. And I didn't hold back. Of course, I didn't go out to do the things I wanted to. But I felt the emotions that were rising up within me. And in a different video, you see how I spoke about turning that anger into divine discontent. Divine discontent comes at the end. So, and then number 9, wow, this was break the silence. Now, I didn't break the silence all of a sudden. I told one person, and I felt a level of trauma come off my shoulders. And I hadn't told anyone in over 10 years about my experience. So when I told one person, it was very comforting. And then disclosure and confrontation. Now, disclosure that I did was a big one. I went public for the first time and I said what had happened to me. And then I wrote my book. And I can assure you, a lot of tension I had in my neck, my nerves that I had that were tensed, it all got released. And it sounds miraculous, it is. And I know not everyone wants to do that, but true healing is that disclosure. Confrontation, I did. Now I know this is also a tricky area for people. It might be dangerous as well. And also some people's perpetrators might have passed on. But writing things down and throwing it away is comforting. But I confronted my abuser. I interviewed my abuser. And I got so much comfort. I felt like I got my power back. And that was number 10. And then the number 11, which was the final one, was in conjunction of letting it go, but forgiveness. Some people might say, I'm not forgiven. I feel forgiveness is huge, but after all those steps. So forgiveness for me was the last. And I no longer feel anger towards this person, but I share my story. I can do both. I can forgive, and I also can go and try to save that child. So that's what I do. So guys, to continue with me on this journey, please subscribe to Hush to Raw. Let's do this. Let's heal. Because the faster we heal, the faster we can go out to help others too. And let them know that they're not alone. We're not alone. We're survivors. We're not victims. We're survivors, guys. We're here, right? So yes, Hush to Raw. Subscribe please to Hush to Raw. And press that notification button to get notifications. At the bottom you'll see various links to help and also free ebooks. So please continue with the journey with me, where we will continue to discuss all these vital topics. Remember, your inner child has a voice. Don't suppress it. Let it roar. Thanks for watching.